Thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. For many of us, Thanksgiving is a day for relaxing with family and friends, sharing the table, and perhaps watching some football. For others, Thanksgiving is a full day's work and then some that includes making the food, setting the table, and then doing the cleaning that follows the feast. Well, today we're joined by a well-known and respected local chef who's going to discuss and demonstrate some strategies to help cut down on the stress and help you navigate the kitchen and put some healthier foods into your Thanksgiving. With me, of course, is Chef Curtis Hemm from Pink Ribbon Cooking. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What are you going to be doing for Thanksgiving?
I'm actually going to go downstate to my brother-in-law's house. So I've given up the holiday. I seem to have relinquished it to my wife's family, and so we are actually, my family's downsized. My father passed away. My brother's out in Cincinnati with his son, so it's kind of a smaller group. It's just me and Alec and Bridget. So why not go downstate and celebrate with family? Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So you've been with us before, but for our viewers who don't know, can you explain what Pink Ribbon Cooking is all about?
Sure. So Pink Ribbon Cooking is a website and a bunch of publications that I do that support breast cancer patients in their battle against modifiable behaviors, if you will. So something that is coming through is the connection between someone's weight or BMI and then their chance for disease-free survival as they live longer, and almost with a chronic disease, if you will. So my wife's a 10-year survivor, so she's free of disease. But for a long time now, we're going to be focused, as we have the last 10 years, on what we can do to minimize those risks. So buying some organic ingredients, cooking healthier foods, including more plant-based nutrients, things like that.
Okay.
But also, I mean, what a lot of people don't know is I'm actually, a full-blown chef. I used to be the dean at New England Culinary Institute.
Right.
And then, I cut my chops in restaurant kitchens. And so that's my heritage in food. So.
Well, tell us a little bit about why Thanksgiving can be such a stressful holiday for a lot of people.
So we're just going to throw it out there, and I'll just pull the pin on the grain and I'll throw it out. And there's a lot of family politics involved with the Thanksgiving meal. So who gets to carve the turkey? What's served? Is there a variance to that? How was it made? Especially for newlyweds, and then all of a sudden they have to go to the in-laws, or they're cooking for the in-laws. I mean, that's just,
And there are a lot of moving parts.
There are. I mean, there's a lot of things. You have a lot of food to cook at one time and to serve. And so in a restaurant industry, that's easy for us. We've mastered that system. We have mise en place, which is what we see here in front of us. We have everything in its place. We know where our knives are. And
you're organized.
Absolutely, and we have to be. And we also serve in restaurants, we serve components put together. And that's ultimately what Thanksgiving dinner is, but everything's cooked all in a minute. So boom, right. that's a big issue for people. But really, it's the politics. I think that's more than anything, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work getting there, and you get one chance. So a turkey, and a turkey undercooked is a turkey undercooked.
I've been there.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on with that. So we try to offer some hints and advice, and how to get through that. And,
okay, so what strategies do you have?
The first thing I have is to really focus on doing. How do I want to word it? Some ready-made things, being organized, having different cooking techniques is a key. So if you're roasting a turkey, you don't want to roast a turkey at 425 degrees, right? But yet your potatoes are going to require 425 degrees. So how do you do that? So maybe you're going to use a pan and you're going to saute some things, like the Brussels sprouts that we're going to do here today. That's going to be on a stovetop, and they're going to be designed to be cooked in 10 minutes. And then maybe you're going to serve a cheese board as part of that, and that's going to be passed around, or maybe you're going to have some pickled condiments. That's actually my favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner, are the sides. And I won't touch any advice on recommending how to cook a turkey. I've just learned a long time ago,
Everyone has their tradition.
No death threats, so we're good. So I talk about the sides because that's usually an entry point for someone that wants to put their stamp on the Thanksgiving meal. Here's a great side dish. We're going to do celeriac salad today. We're going to talk about a cheese board, and we're going to do some really simple Brussels sprouts. So
a combination of different kinds of food, some cold food, some prepared food ahead of time.
Yeah, and so the first book I ever wrote was a textbook called Garde Manger, the Cold Kitchen, and so that's my specialty, is buffets and things like that. And so I always include some type of cold, almost a 2-to-1 ratio. So this celeriac salad we're going to do today with this ugly thing here is actually a really delicious salad that you can grate the night before, wrap it up in some damp paper towels, and then make a dressing a la minute, toss it, and finish it, and it's done.
Yeah.
And you can do 2 or 3 salads like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It really takes the pressure off of the cook.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, let's get cooking.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about these Brussels sprouts. So these are fresh organic Brussels sprouts that we picked up. I've got some thyme in here. I've got some sliced up shallot, and I'm going to turn the heat on high. And these can take a long time. So if we look at a Brussels sprout, a Brussels sprout is very tightly packed. And so for the conduction of heat to come into here, it will take a long time. So when you roast them, that's not really a problem. But if you've ever noticed in roasting Brussels sprouts, sometimes the inside gets a little mushy, or the outside, and the inside's this little firm piece. We want to force this out. And so what we're going to do is something relatively different. We're going to add a little bit of water, because once water becomes steam, it's 3 or 4 times more powerful than just boiling water.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to include the steam, and you could add maybe a piece of butter, but I'm a frugal cook and I save everything, and I let you smell this. But this is
bacon.
This is the fat rendered off of these beautiful pig jowl bacons that I get from a farm in the Adirondacks, Asgard Farm and Dairy, and the pigs are fed the whey from the goat's milk. After the cheese making. So it's like this wonderful, delicious concoction, but we don't need a lot of this because it's relatively smoky. And we actually don't want to have a lot of fat left over. But what's going to happen here is that water is going to start to boil. It's going to steam. It's going to force through all of this, and it will actually cook the Brussels sprouts almost like a pressure cooker would.
Oh, no kidding.
So much faster. And so we're just going to cover that up. You can see we're already getting there, which is a relief. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. Well, it's unlike gas, so you have to wait for it to happen. Just a touch of salt, because that pig jowl bacon, actually, the fat actually has some salt left in it. And we're just going to cover that up. And so we're going to come back to this in 5 or 6 minutes, and we'll actually notice it because it'll start to tremor a little bit. And now we're going to move on to the salad. And so what I've got here is a shallot. And there is no magical way to do a shallot. You peel it, and I slice mine in half lengthwise. And then I'm just going to go across it on the bias, super thin. Save those nubby ends. So we've got that. Scoop that into our bowl. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to add a little bit of mustard. That's a whole grain mustard. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. And so olive oil is a good fat for us to have. A little bit of cream. You could use mayonnaise too if you wanted to. Even no-fat Greek yogurt. We know I'm a big fan of the Greek yogurt.
Yes.
A little bit of lemon, or of vinegar, and then a little bit of lemon juice squeezed into that. And the lemon will actually bring out a lot of the flavor of that. And so we'll just mix that up really quick. And then if you want to grab the celeriac, and then I'll show afterwards, because I want this to kind of macerate a bit. And you see how we're already at steam? We've already set the color of the pigment.
Oh, nice.
Right? So we just let that go. And the last thing, I really think celeriac and dill go wonderfully together. So I have a heavy presence of dill in this dressing. We don't need a lot of dressing. And I'll just do that for now.
Okay.
And if you didn't have a glass bowl, I brought a glass bowl so people could see it mixed together. But if you did this right in a standard mixing bowl, you wouldn't even have to dirty a second dish.
There you go.
So.
Smells amazing.
Yeah, and the mustard, the acid, this has a really earthy texture to it, and a flavor that's just, it's really wonderful. And I was surprised. I actually had my son eating 2 different foods that I never thought: celeriac root and oysters. We went to Lunig's yesterday, and we ordered an oyster trio plate, and he was all over it. And I'm like,
wow,
rock on.
Great.
So we'll put that there for now. And so celeriac, it's like I said, it is really ugly. It's got this beard that comes down here. It's got this stocky.
You would probably walk right past it in the
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
So just cut the top off, cut the bottom off. And then come down, so I'm getting this really wafting flavor of this bacon. I'm going to turn this heat down just a touch, actually. And so you just kind of cut through that. You can peel this and save so much more. This is about $2 at a farmer's market. A little bit more in a grocery store, because it's one of those specialty items in the grocery store. It's a standard for New England farmers. I mean, they just grow it, and there's so many good ones. So you get down to this piece here where the beard kind of comes in, and just kind of slice around. I know I'm making that look kind of easy, but that's a really sharp knife, and we go from there. And then here's the implement of mass destruction here.
Yeah, I've never used one of these.
All right, so there's caution here, right?
Yeah.
I have thumbs
sharp.
to prove that this hurts if you're not careful with it. So they usually have a top that comes with it. I recommend that the novice cook use the top. Okay.
Would be a smart thing to do.
Yeah. So basically, we have a couple settings. We have a fine tooth setting, which is here. So we get a cut like this, which is what we have in the bowl. We can move up and we can do a larger cut. Right there.
Yep.
And this is about $70. It's a very widely available commercial one. The other one I have here is we call this our Chinatown Special. I picked it up in Montreal for $5. I've had it for a number of years, and I put the blade on backwards. How about that?
You're just seeing if I was paying attention.
That's right. And then
there you go. Perfect.
And that's what we do. And so what you have is you have some quick cuts, and you know, it really it allows the vegetable to kind of stand proud. But this is great for a crudité too. So I mean, you could try that, and it just has this really nutty, beautiful flavor. We're going to jump back to our Brussels sprouts because I'm smelling all this bacon. I don't even think this was 5 minutes.
No.
And we're 75% done our Brussels sprouts already. We can even come back, add a touch more water if we wanted to, finish them off. And what's going to happen is that's going to evaporate once I unstick my top, right? And that fat that's left in there is going to glaze the Brussels sprouts. So almost like a Vichy, if you will.
Works for me.
Yeah.
They've also got this beautiful tray.
We do. So
looking at that all morning.
The semi-homemade component of life is I'm pretty anti-processed food.
Right.
I don't think anyone who watches me or knows me can attest to that. Excuse me. But what you can do, you can find some really great ingredients that are made outside of your house. Mustards, olive oils, dairy products. This is a selection of cheeses from, so I'm representing the Adirondacks here a little bit, right? But we have a special surprise. Margot, who's the cheesemaker at Sugar House Creamery, is from Vermont.
Oh, okay.
So she's a transplant, and we're taking her heritage in the dairy farm business, and we're using it here. The other cheeses are from Asgard Farm and Dairy. So here's a troubadour cheese, which is a wash rind cheese using beer from Au Sable Brewing Company. I fell in love with it this summer. I put it on some lamb burger, and I was sold. Now I just eat it as is. This is the this is the White-Faced Mountain. This is a goat's cheese. This is the Au Sable Valley Tome, and then this is the Bark Eater Bouche. So these are it's a great little simple cheese platter.
Yeah.
You've got some whole grain mustard, and you've got some almonds with it, and that's all you need. Maybe some fruit.
Perfect. And once again, you can have this just all done. Just put it out.
Yeah, there's nothing more you need to do.
Yeah,
I'm using my wife's nice marble thing, so
that's
you know that's a nice presentation.
And you've got your salad done.
You've got your
Brussels
salad.
Sprouts are done.
Brussels sprouts.
The turkey's resting.
Yeah, and we have this beautiful glaze right here.
Oh man,
They're popping at us, right? They want us to eat it, and then you just take your thyme leaf and you just throw it away.
Wow.
That's that. And if you wanted to deglaze, you want to add a little flavor to that. Maybe some white wine. This is vinegar, but you get all that flavor off the bottom of the pan. Coming out. If you want to grab a fork here.
Sure. Yeah. No problem. Taste one of these little ones. Of course, now
Maybe.
I can skewer it. Wow, that smells amazing.
Yeah, and it's just so simple. And so you can have 2 or 3 of these items on the stovetop finishing, and you have the turkey resting. I would do this right as I pull the turkey out. The one advice I will give: rest your bird after you cook it.
Yes.
You have to let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes and basically let it kind of just simmer down and let the juices come back. Because what happens is those protein bundles in the bird, in the chicken or the turkey meat, they shrink up and they tighten up in the presence of heat. And so when you take it out of the heat, they want to soften up and relax. And we saw how fast this just kind of quieted down. Same thing with the turkey. You want to get it out, you want to cover it up with some aluminum foil, and you want to let it sit for just a little bit. All right? But don't offer that advice to an in-law.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. If you do, you didn't hear from me.
If folks want more information about what they've seen here or want more information about Pink Ribbon Cooking, what should they do? You
can always go to pinkribbon.com. And I do a monthly column now in Northern Home Garden Leisure magazine, where I do more just regular, just my heritage of cooking.
Well, terrific. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too.
That's our program for today. We'll see you next time on Across the Fence.